I'm Lynn from L&J Goods.
We're searching our barn and our basement for some projects that we can use for the new JRV Cottage Colors.
Let's bring that. I'm so excited to share 6 brand new colors of the DIY Cottage Colors by JRV Vintage. My goal is to use all 6 colors on 6 different surfaces.
4, 5, 6.
Once you see how I use the Cottage Colors on paper mache, metal, terracotta, wood, pre-painted surfaces, I think you're going to find that it is a very versatile paint finish that you are going to want to use on all of your DIY projects.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6 new colors.
You'll find a link in the description box below to some other creatives. We've all done this in collaboration to introduce this exciting new palette. One of the things that you may notice with the Cottage Colors is that there may be a slight film or separation of the product. It's kind of like the cream rising to the top of whole milk. All of the ingredients are right on the packaging, and you're going to find that there's essentially no odor. Give your paint a really good stir, completely mixing that paint. The first project I'm going to do is this terracotta pot. Now, you may find that there's a bit of a transparency to the Cottage Colors. That's okay. We want to get one coat applied and then let that dry completely before we apply the second coat. Just like with any type of a clay pot that you paint, you want to make sure that you are completely sealing the inside of the pot and the outside. If you're going to be using terracotta for a plant, I would recommend that you don't put dirt directly into the pot.
Put your plant in another container and then put it inside the terracotta pot.
That porous surface is really going to absorb the paint, so you definitely will need a few coats on the terracotta. Next up, I'm going to paint this metal box. The only thing I've done is clean it. We're going to do a scratch test when this cures to see how well the Cottage Colors stick to metal. The first coat that I apply is going to be a nice thin coat. And the cleanup is really easy, just soap and water. This is a paper mache pot. We're going to use the color Plum Pudding on this. Because paper mache is a porous substrate, the first coat is going to soak right in.
The sun is high. I'm sitting here on my own. I think of you, you're on my mind, you know. To me, that's alright. Green grass on my neighbor's lawn. Maybe I should take a stroll.
I got my colors mixed up for my metal box, so I'm giving it a coat of barn quilt. These are 2 wood baluster pieces. They have a varnish on them, so I cleaned them and I'm going to paint directly over them with anvil.
This polystyrene ceiling medallion. We've had it back in the basement for years. I'm going to use kind of an old scruffy brush because I'm going to want to really pounce down into the details. I'm hoping I can make this look like a piece of concrete or a piece of old weathered plaster. I'm going to make sure that I apply a nice thin coat for my first coat. I'm just going to keep working at this and dabbing at it until it begins to dry, and we'll see if we can get that kind of aged stone effect. This is a little humidor. It has seen better days. Somebody tried to strip it at one point, and it has many, many, many coats of paint. My challenge for this project is to work over a high contrast paint color. I'm going to decoupage this inset, this door, and then this inset over here. The rest I'm going to paint with Pacific. I did go over this entire piece with my orbital sander so that I could knock down any of the pre-existing paint drips and lumps and bumps that were on here. It still has a lot of texture to it, but I'm okay with that. It'll make for an interesting piece when it's done.
strong. And to me,
I always pick challenging projects. Obviously, it's covering the wood area that has been stripped very, very nicely. It's looking better already.
you know, to me, that's all.
Well, that's a wrap for today. I got 6 pieces base coated. One even got base coated twice. Okay, it is day 2. First coat has been on for about 24 hours. This is that polystyrene piece. Honest to goodness, it is not scraping off. I'm gonna put some white wax on this one. This is our paper mache piece. I think because it's a porous surface, kind of scratching off the surface of the paper mache, but I'm gonna go ahead and go for it. It's gonna be just fine. I cannot scratch that off, so I'm going to throw a second coat on that. Look at this. Again, I cannot scratch that off. Always good to test an area first before you completely coat your piece.
Now I'm going to give everything a second coat.
Life is a winding road. No telling where it
And it's time to add a few embellishments to upcycle these pieces. Here I'm using the new IOD transferred called Collage de Roses.
I really wanna know, really wanna know.
Lightly distress the surface so that I wear down that transfer just a little bit and apply a top coat.
Where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down.
When I finished the baluster pieces, JR attached this little wire lantern to the top of them, and it becomes a great candle stand. I'm using white wax on a few of my finished projects. Apply Debi's white wax and get it worked into all of the texture and all of the detail of each of the pieces on which I am using the white wax. Then you'll want to take a soft cloth and wipe away any excess wax.
So high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know, really wanna know if I'll ever figure out where the road.
I think that this piece, because it was a challenge with the polystyrene, ended up being one of my favorite pieces that I did. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it's pretty cool.
You can say I lost my
Now it's time to add the Cottage Road JRV rice paper to this little table and give it a little extra something. And there you go, 6 projects from the barn and the basement, all done with JRV's new Cottage Colors collection. Brought to you by Debi's DIY Paint Company. You'll find links in the description box below for the products that I used and for that playlist from the other DIY creators. You'll also find us at lnjgoods.com or our brick and mortar shop in Medina, New York.
sky is falling.